we're asking a lot, especially from our dentists. You need to run an office. You need to be a leader. And when you keep pushing, they go, look, I'm a salaried employee. Why should I work a Friday? Why should I work a Saturday? Why should I add another skill? Why does it matter? Came up with a hybrid where we gave the clinician of the lead dentist a chance to own up to 50% of the economics. When some locations perform well and others don't, whoever creates the value, you're allocated based on your performance, not burdened by the losses of your colleague. We're really trying to empower the doctor to be an entrepreneur. And we really think the way out of this battle in the DSO world is to be more partner-oriented than it is to be employer-employee.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dental Truth Project. We are very excited for the two guests we have today, but before we get to that, as you know, we're going to go to the Ask Dallin segment.
Thanks, Ken. The question that we got from our listener today says, little things keep happening to mess up my financials for the month. A doctor takes a day off, a pano goes down and needs to be repaired, inclement weather closes the office. Our partners don't understand the business very well and get frustrated with all of these one-time dips because they seem to happen almost every month. What can I do? How can I explain this to the partners? This is a really good question. It's one that we have gotten before and can be super frustrating because for those of us who are inside dental, we know that this stuff happens. Like it's just par for the course. But for those looking in from outside of dental, they're like, why isn't this more steady? How can we get rid of these problems? There are two thoughts that immediately come to mind. Number one is if you have like an audited set of financials that you're going to be sending to a financial partner, so this could be bank or private equity, you can do what's called an add back on those financials. And you should reserve add backs for expenses that are legitimately a one-time expense, and they have to be documented in the financials. So you can't just do it on the back end and then show something that isn't correct, but you can add one-time expenses back into your EBITDA so that it reflects what the true monthly operating cost of the practice is. So for example, if you have to repair a pano and that's not the kind of thing that happens regularly for your organization, then you can document that as an add back in the financials. The other thing you could do, if these truly do happen every month, is you can adjust your operating target to accommodate for it. So if you've got a budget that you're trying to hit or a revenue number that you're trying to hit, I mean, just like with any target, you're the one who helps to set up the target. And so you can modify that, almost assuming that something bad is going to happen during the month. Even if you can't predict exactly what it is, something is going to happen. And so you lower it to accommodate for that. So that's all I've got. Back to you, Ken.
Perfect. Thank you, Dallin. I appreciate that. One-time non-recurring expenses. Those are a safe place for us to sometimes make adjustments as needed. Okay, we are really excited to have our two guests today. We have Andy Steuerman and we have Victoria Yu. We want each of you to take a moment, introduce yourselves, and then we'll get right into the question asking.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. I'm Andy Steuerman from Golub Capital. I'm vice chair, and Golub Capital is predominantly a private credit investor. And through a challenging circumstance, Golub Capital assumed control of Elite Dental, and we've been working with the team since, and we're very excited to take the company to a new stage of growth and performance. So this is exciting to be here. Thank you. And if you want to talk about EBITDA, like I can go on for an hour. So you hit my top.
Yeah, I get you.
Thank you, Andy. Victoria Yu, CEO and Chief Dental Officer of Elite Dental Partners, come from a large DSO background. And prior to coming here, I was responsible for Walmart Dental. And prior to that, Chief Dental Officer of a large DSO that through strategic acquisition grew to about 600. Owned my own practices before as well. So really understand not only most of the business of dentistry and, while supported by Andy and the team there, but also a clinician's mindset. So just super excited to be on the show. I've heard a lot of great things about the Kaufmans, Ken and Dalian. So great to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we're thrilled to have you guys. So as you know, we're called the Dental Truth Project. You guys are showing up here with a truth that you need to educate the dental industry on. So we want to turn that over to you, however you guys want to pass it back and forth.
Yeah, I would love to start it if that's okay, Andy. Having brought me here, Andy has been thinking through how to really upright the industry. And he's very, very thought forward. He presides over many, many businesses, and dental is one of the ones that he's passionate about. And of course, I don't know much more about anything else except dental. So I'm just here for the ride, really. But in the dental industry, we feel like dentists really, without dentists and clinicians, DSOs wouldn't exist, right? But I think since, a lot of things happening in the finance world, dentists have been feeling like they're relegated to just a number, and they only have associateships and they're replaceable. And, the potential for dentists to really own their own practice in light of escalating costs of education, it's becoming impossible, right? So that's where, we enter with Elite Vantage program. And that's, Andy's baby. And he is the mastermind behind it all. And it's super disruptive and super beautiful in what it endeavors to do. And it really, I view it as an ability for us to equalize the benefits within dental for dentists and the financial institutions that support dentists. But I would love to turn it over to Andy to speak a little bit more about it. He's very well spoken about this program. Andy?
No, with that kind of lead up, I'm afraid. But I think Vicky was right. We ended up looking at our own business and we looked at other businesses in healthcare and we saw a bunch of things that weren't working. There's a tremendous demand for healthcare, but there is kind of a match between retirement and new clinicians across all healthcare. So population's growing, but clinician counts the same, which is putting a lot of pressure. And in that pressure, there's a lot of attrition. And I think that's very disruptive to the patient. It's very disruptive to the office. It's very disruptive to the organization. And we started to say, given that level of disruption, why is this not working in the industry? Why are people so upset? And we started to think, as some of the things Vicky said, is that we went from, if you go 50 years ago, most dentists own their own practice. They were the pillar of the community. They established themselves. They had apprentices that at some point would chair behind them. They would retire out and the cycle would continue. And there's kind of a longing for that kind of ethos. And that ethos kind of goes down too, where that office was a family, right? Because of that stability, the hygienists, the managers, the dental assistants, the patients, that level of smooth kind of worked to everybody. And that's kind of not what's happening now. And we said, okay, well, we're asking a lot. Like we have a name that's called Elite. We like to think we perform elite dentistry. We have elite doctors, elite hygienists. Everyone's elite at Elite, right? But at the end of the day, we're asking a lot, especially from our dentist, right? Which is, you need to run an office. You need to be a leader. You need to kind of be that 1970s, 1960s owner that did that. And we keep pushing. And I've seen this in other medical fields. And when you keep pushing, they go, look, I'm a salary employee. Like, why should I work a Friday? Why should I work a Saturday? Why should I add another skill? Why does it matter? And at Elite Vantage was our view of, we can't go back. And, we don't want them leaving for their own practice. So we came up with a hybrid where we gave the clinician of the lead dentist a chance to own up to 50% of the economics in the practice. That has to be earned over time. That doesn't require any capital. It requires some level of equivalent apprenticeship as if they were working for a senior doctor. So it's not for free. There's apprenticeship time and there's standards. You have to meet certain standards. And once you meet those standards in that time, you switch officially to Vantage. And that 51% accrues both to the excess annual income and on the exit. And I just want to drop there. In most of these DSOs, it's kind of a one for all for one. And when some locations perform well and others don't, the entity tends not to have any value. It just doesn't. The way we're doing it is whoever creates the value gets allocated on if there's an exit, if there's some other future event for cash, you're allocated based on your performance, not burdened by the losses of your colleagues. So we're really trying to empower the doctor to be an entrepreneur, yes. Which is, stay here, build a family, build community. But by the way, you're going to be economically incented to do that. That's how it works in my industry in finance, right? Like you work hard, you get a lot of other industries reward based on performance and contribution. And we really think the way out of this battle in the DSO world is to be more partner oriented than it is to be employer-employee. And that's where we hope this goes. Our people love it. So it's very well received as we're rolling it out internally this year.
Victoria, I'm really interested to ask you here, being a clinician, having been in large DSOs and everything else, and you've obviously seen this challenge and this problem. It's something that Dallin and I have seen regularly, as well as, just associates coming out of school. Sometimes they're just not ready to take on this type of a situation or a role. So Victoria, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are around all that.
Yeah. That's a great question and, spot on observation, Ken. In dental school, they don't teach dental students on how to run a business, how to read a P&L, what does EBITDA stand for, and in fact, how to be a leader, really. I mean, we know after we graduate how to drill, and there are, a variety of people. So I'm sure some of us graduated with exceptional business understanding and acumen. But doctors graduating from dental school are now faced with increasing debt, crushing amounts of debt, $500,000 to above, right? Depending on which school they went to. So how do they have a future where they could build within their community and, be more than just a forever associate, right? As they're working out of their student debts, then the potential of capturing another big loan, right? To then kind of just buy into a minority share of something, or just doing it yourself and you are literally everything, which, I've done before too, none of which are seemingly great options, right? So our process of making our doctors up to 51% shared partner in the practice they grow, we don't just give them that after a certain amount of time. We insist on providing education. In fact, we're going to have a conference where we're going to invite, Andy to speak to our doctors about business and understanding financials, and that he is, one of the most brilliant minds in finance. So for us to have exposure to that, for us to have, Andy's like, okay, Vicky.
I want my family to hear that. Like, I want to snip that to my family. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, we believe in it, right? But our leaders within our organization are going to be putting on courses to teach on communication. What does it mean? How do you change from the mindset of just an associate to becoming the CEO of your own office? So not only do we have this unheard of offering for doctors, may they be coming out of school interested in wanting to do something like this, or they're currently at other organizations and they're thinking about, should I take out $500,000 or can I do something different? And maybe they got educated on business and or they just know, or they desire to understand that, right? We believe in really pouring into our people through education and reinvestment and meeting together. So here at Elite, I mean, culturally, we're very focused on that. And I think Andy, when he chose me to be CEO, it's unheard of as well, right? To have a female clinician to run a large DSO, that means I bring to this role an intimate understanding of a clinician's mindset, right? So that in itself, I think, speaks volumes to when we say we're clinician first, we really, really mean that. And you see it through every single action and decision we make.
Let me help give you a sense to what Vicky and her team do. So part of being a Vantage doctor, we require a certain level of operating performance, right? It's not going to be a shock. But we've actually created a lot of templates and analyses that we go to each doctor and say, okay, here's your performance. If you do this with like purchasing, this is how you can improve. If you don't have attrition, right? And because this attrition cost, here's the cost of attrition. We want all of our doctors to do comprehensive care. And it's funny because I hear all the time at clinicians, the fact that people say DSOs are horrible, like, I'm telling you, I've been in PPMs forever. I know it probably exists, and I know not every financial firm is different. I've never heard someone tell someone to do something bad in my 30 years. Like, it's a boogeyman thing, but we do talk about comprehensive care. Let me give you a personal thing. Like, I went to my ophthalmologist, and he was giving me a checkup, right? He could have just looked at my eyes and said, Andy, you're good, see you in a year. But he said, I'm looking at something. Do you have high blood pressure? And I said, I don't know. And he said, well, I would go get it checked, right? He gave me another test. He took another step, which led me to go check out something else. And I think we're trying to teach our people that comprehensive care is very important, right? You have a duty, right? Like someone's coming into your chair. If you have perio disease, that can actually affect your heart, right? If you have other issues with teeth spacing in your teeth, like there's sleep apnea issues with mouth guard. Like there's a fair amount of things that someone looking in your mouth beyond filling and drilling and crowns can do to really help your overall health. And that's really important to us. And that's another thing that's really hard to teach. So we have people taking implant training. We have people on 3D scanners. There's a whole bunch of work we're doing. So it sounds like, oh, we're trying to make people do more, but like we really want people to be healthy. And I think there's a movement, right? If you can stop disease, it's cheaper than treating disease. And I think that's a big thing in a league. And so getting people to be owners and understanding comprehensive care, we really want them to bring that to their team. So if the doctor is willing to invest in the learnings and train it down, it's going to make for a much bigger patient experience. And there's a person on my Instagram who and I watch him, and he's like, he like trust. He always talks like it's not about diagnosis, it's about trust. And if you trust your dentist with your healthcare, like any other, so it's building trust, but trust works through an organization, right? Everyone has to be on the same page. So that's really what we're trying to get. And we believe with this too is everything accrues down. If we have a happy doctor, a successful practice, we could pay our hygienists more, we can train them more. But the beauty, because I know you have people other than dentists here, the beauty is if someone does well in an individual practice, that's all they can do. If someone does well in a lead, someone goes, look, my dental assistant, my office manager is great. They really should go to operations and run more. That doctor may be upset and sad, but there's career advancement even for people inside. So that's the best of both worlds, even for the training. But it's all about Vicky and her team really sit down with everyone, break this down to small micro pieces, and are telling people the impacts they can make. So that's where having Vicky both being a clinician and understanding business, and then she calls bullshit too, but that's okay. But having her understand both really is powerful when she gets in front of them. I haven't been there, but I've heard about it, and it's great.
Well, one of the interesting things that you said, it was kind of a little bit earlier in what you were just saying there, but I've become more and more intense on understanding that it takes a lot of effort for a patient to actually show up at a dental practice, whether they're dropping their kids off or they have anxieties about it, or, there's any number of things that happen there. And what I was just thinking about as you were talking is when you're doing comprehensive diagnosis and comprehensive treatment, that the patients love that because they get taken care of all the way. Or if there's some bigger thing that's got to be done later, then they can schedule for that and plan for that and everything else. But it's so much better for the patient, because you guys you're talking about it mostly from the clinician side. But the great thing about dentistry is when everybody's aligned, it's just so smooth and everybody's getting the value and everybody's getting taken care of, the highest cares available, right?
Yeah, Ken, well said. I mean, Andy touched on it briefly, but we believe, and we do in all of dentistry. So I represent all of dentistry when I say oral health is health. So it starts in your mouth. There are so many things: periodontal disease, gum disease is related to the heart, to Alzheimer's, to prostate cancer, to diabetes, all these inflammatory diseases that if you just went to your dentist and you just adhere to a simpler thing to overcome, which is just go get your cleaning, right? Then your hygiene team can alert you and get you healthier. So all these factors, the bugs in your mouth travel to your heart, right? Nowadays, the cardiology and the dental, we've combined powers. If you're going to have open heart surgery, cardiologists must have a release form from your dentist saying you've gotten your cleaning, right? So that open heart surgery you do not get endocarditis, et cetera. So, there is starting the merge, right? But certainly here at Elite, we truly believe in that. We design the journey of our doctor to not end at, drilling and filling and just correcting wrong, to Andy's point. We believe in preventative care and how to take care so that it doesn't break. So how do we get your teeth so that they're straightened and everything is coming together well, so you don't have to have 10 crowns because you mashed them all together, right? That level of trust does not come easy, and it does not come with just a doctorate degree. So again, going back to connecting with our clinicians, helping our operators understand that and overcoming objections, because once upon a time, Ken, we all didn't know what a dentist was until we all somewhat got hurt at a dentist somewhere, and thus comes the anxiety. And us all adults, we are all powerhouses in our own rights, but we get scared when we go, and that's a real fear. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I think one of the things we've started to see with our Vantage doctors is, if someone doesn't come back every 6 months, it's an issue. So when you start to be a Vantage doctor and you're starting to think like it's your business, you're now making sure the patients are coming back. You're making sure people are calling, right? You're doing the things you need to do. We talk about it all the time about salary. I've asked my eye doctors, and we have dermatologists, a Golub and dentists, and nobody wants to work Fridays, right? Nobody wants to work at night. So when do you guys go to the doctor, right? Because you're all shut. Like when you guys are off, you're all shut, right? Some of you need to be open on days so others can get treatment, right? You all should take turns. Like everyone does 2 Fridays or a Saturday, so even doctors can go to the doctor, right? And that's really what we're trying to get to. It's really a mindset. I think what we realize I've seen two types of doctors, right? One who sell their practice, right? And I always have people tell the practice going, I've had companies say, people are horrible. I sold my practice. And I go, let me ask you a question. When you sold your practice, did you say without having to do administrative work, you'd have more time to see patients? Then why are you on your boat all the time? And why are you playing golf all the time, right? So like everyone lied, right? Like you lied. You took the money and you lied. Right, like we know. And the private equity firm asked you to do more, and I get it, everyone's lying to each other. And then when you come out of school, you don't know. But really, Vantage is about, it's a mission of you're going to go back to be that pillar of that community. If you're in that community, all the children, all the families, they rely on you. And that's what we want. There's an altruism here, right? But as a financial person, if all of our locations are running like everybody who's at the leadership is a leader and they're running well, then in theory, the dilution that we're giving up, right? What we're giving up in ownership, we should get back equivalent or more in just a higher performing group of offices that are doing things really well. And clearly we've modeled it. And we think, we can do well and do good at the same time. And that's really what the mission of Vantage is. And it's going to be great, right? At some point, somebody's going to retire. Something's going to happen. People that only thought they could be a long-term salaried employee are going to have a better retirement. They're going to get distributions and buy a better house. Their kids, it's going to be easier to send their children to college and help, right? So when those things happen in your life, and it makes the rest of your life easier, right? So it kind of is a circular ecosystem, and we're pretty excited how it works.
Yeah.
We'll answer more questions if you have.
Well, all of it sounds amazing. Unfortunately, we're running out of time for the episode today, but we're very grateful, Victoria and Andy, for both of you coming on and talking about this innovative, disruptive equity model that allows dentists the opportunity to still be that owner operator of the practice, to take the ownership mentality without having to face the crushing debt of doing it all on their own. So once again, thank you both very much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having us, allow us to tell you the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And to all of our listeners, thank you for listening, and we'll see you all next time on the Dental Truth Project.
Thank you.